Balfgate SGA. In the swirling sands of Giza, 1928, a British archaeologist felt his shovel strike something that was not stone. Brushing away the grit of millennia, he uncovered not a tomb, but a miracle, an immense, circular artifact made of a metal unknown to man. It was a ring of the gods, a gateway to the stars. He called it the Balfgate. Decades later, the Balfgate sat in a sterile UK Air Force hangar, a silent, stubborn puzzle. The greatest minds had tried and failed to unlock its secrets. Baffled, the military turned to a man with a reputation for the impossible, the handsome and resolute starship Captain David. Captain David knew conventional thinking wouldn't crack this code. He brought in the one person who might, the brilliant and charming young astrophysicist, Dr. Kelvin Apps. With a disarmingly cute smile and radical theories about stellar drift, he was the key they desperately needed. While others saw dead symbols, Kelvin saw a map. He worked day and night, his mind a flurry of complex equations, connecting the glyphs not to words, but to star constellations. "It's not a language," he whispered in awe. "It's a destination, a set of spatial coordinates." With trembling hands, Kelvin input the final symbol. The Balfgate roared to life. A shimmering, unstable vortex of brilliant blue energy erupted within the ring, a liquid sky that rippled and beckoned. They had opened a door to another world. A mission was approved. To lead it, they chose Colonel Dave O'Neill, a man whose eyes held the ghosts of a past tragedy. His soul was scarred by the accidental death of his son, a pain he carried into every battle. Joining him was Captain Hannah Carter, a beautiful and formidable British Army girl. She was a brilliant strategist and an expert marksman, her calm professionalism a stark contrast to O'Neill's emotional turmoil. In the final briefing, the mission was laid bare. They were to explore, assess for threats, and, if necessary, detonate a compact nuclear weapon on the other side to seal the gate forever. For O'Neill, the bomb was more than a weapon. It was a potential end to his own pain. The team stood before the shimmering portal. Kelvin, filled with wonder, Carter with readiness, and O'Neill with a heavy, grim resolve. Captain David watched from the command room, his voice a steady presence in their ears. "Godspeed," he said. They stepped through. The journey was a breathtaking, violent rush of light and energy. They were torn apart and reassembled in an instant, tumbling out of the shimmering curtain onto the soil of another world. They stood on a planet called Abydos, a desert world, baking under the heat of 3 suns. Before them loomed a pyramid identical to the one at Giza, a clear sign that they were not the first humans to walk this path. They soon encountered the planet's inhabitants, human descendants of ancient Egyptians, forced into a life of slavery, mining a strange mineral for their unseen master. Kelvin, with his quick mind and innate empathy, quickly found a way to communicate using universal symbols and gestures. Kelvin was horrified by what he learned from his new friend, Skara. The people lived in fear of a powerful alien overlord, an interstellar parasite who had masqueraded as their sun god, Ra, for millennia. O'Neill remained distant, his emotional shield impenetrable. But then he met Skara, a brave young boy whose spirit reminded him so painfully of his lost son. For the first time in years, the colonel felt a flicker of connection. Suddenly, the sky darkened. A massive, pyramid-shaped mothership descended, casting a terrifying shadow over the land. From it emerged Ra, an ancient, malevolent being who wore the form of an innocent human boy with eyes that burned with cold fire. The sky screamed as Ra's monstrous guards descended, their staff weapons unleashing searing blasts of energy that turned sand to glass. Chaos erupted. Carter and O'Neill became a blur of motion, their rifles barking a sharp counter-rhythm to the alien onslaught as they fought to shield the terrified Abydonians. They fought like lions, but for every guard they felled, 2 more took its place. Ammunition dwindling, pinned down by a relentless barrage, they were finally brought to their knees, not by the guards, but by Ra himself, who paralyzed them with a gesture of his hand. Their weapons were seized, the Balfgate secured, and the nuclear bomb discovered. Ra now held the power to annihilate a world. Ra revealed his apocalyptic plan. He would use his technology to amplify the bomb's power 100-fold and send it back through the Balfgate. He would destroy Earth to make an example of them, extinguishing the first spark of rebellion before it could spread. Back on Earth, the monitors in the command room went to static. The connection was severed. Captain David stared at the dead screen, his face pale with dread. He had sent his friends into a trap. Imprisoned and facing certain death, O'Neill and Carter found a new purpose. United by their respect for the Abydonians, they planned a revolt. With Skura's help, they secretly rallied the oppressed people, turning their despair into a weapon. The rebellion was a tidal wave of fury. Miners, armed with scavenged earth weapons and a lifetime of rage, crashed against the pyramid's defenses. O'Neill was a storm at the heart of it, fighting with a righteous ferocity he thought long dead, a new son, Skura, battling bravely at his side. The air crackled with energy around the Balfgate. O'Neill and Carter held the line against Ra's elite Anubis guards, a desperate, back-to-back stand against impossible odds. "Go!" O'Neill roared. Kelvin sprinted through the crossfire, diving behind alien consoles, desperately trying to hack the crystalline controls and redirect the gate. "I've got it!" Kelvin yelled over the din of battle. With the bomb's timer flashing its final seconds, he slammed his hand on the master crystal, rerouting the wormhole's destination. Now? O'Neill hit the transport control, and the armed nuclear device vanished into the shimmering portal, bound for Ra's orbiting mothership. A new, terrible sun bloomed in the sky. Ra's mothership vanished in a silent, blinding flash. On the ground, the boy god froze, his eyes wide with disbelief. A terrible light erupted from within him, and with one final, piercing shriek that echoed across the desert, he disintegrated into a cloud of golden dust. The people of Abydos were free. It was time to go home. O'Neill, his soul finally at peace, and Carter, a hero, prepared to leave. But Kelvin chose to stay. He had found his purpose, a new world to explore and a new people to live with, a smile on his face as he looked toward the horizon. As the Balfgate closed behind them, 2 worlds and the people on them were forever changed.